an international level medical hackathon with my team, and that was hosted by Harvard Medical School and MIT at General Electric in India. A fellow, I help University of Michigan faculty patent their technologies, to protect their technologies through different IP protections.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Entrance and Beyond, and we are continuing with our PhD series. You must have saw the previous video where we talked about a PhD candidate at John Hopkins. So today I have a very special guest with me who is basically a PhD. She's done her PhD at George Mason University in the US, and currently she can tell more about what she's up to. So our guest is Shrishti Singh. She's basically someone who is in the world of bioengineering. She comes from India. As I said, she did her PhD from the US, and she has really had some great achievements thus far. So if I just mentioned some of her achievements, one thing is that she has revolutionized cancer detection. So she's worked on that in her PhD. Basically, she has done something with related to photoacoustic detection, and she has basically helped out people in detecting cancer in a better way. And apart from that, she has also secured around 250K in total grants overall for the various projects she's done. She's also co-founded some biopharmaceutical ventures, and yeah, apart from that, she's like an entrepreneur, PhD, and the biggest achievement I would say is that she's been recognized by Stat News as the best 64 healthcare technologies innovator in 2023. So yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Shrishti Singh, for sparing some time. So yeah, could you just introduce yourself to the audience and tell what's up in your life right now?
So, hey everyone, I'm excited to be on here. Thank you so much for the invitation. My name is Shrishti Singh. Currently have a PhD in biomedical engineering. I did my undergrad degree from MS Ramya Institute of Technology back in Bangalore, and I got a bachelor's in engineering in biotechnology. Then moved on for my master's in United States at the University of Bridgeport, and then my PhD at George Mason University, which is in Northern Virginia. It's a great school, located right next to Washington, D.C. I got my PhD from there. And after that, I co founded a biotech company, Nearview Biosciences, to be able to clinically translate my PhD project, for which I'm an inventor on a US patent. As you mentioned before, that technology was chosen as one of the 64 best technologies in United States in 2023. We raised significant funding, but after that, I decided that I wanted to take a more diverse perspective into entrepreneurship, and I'm a year into the startup formation, we got offered a licensing deal for the technology, which we ended up taking. And because of that, now I was looking for better opportunities. And currently, I work at the University of Michigan Innovation Partnerships Office, and I work here as a technology transfer fellow. I help University of Michigan faculty patent their technologies, do protect their technologies through different IP protections, and of course, help them spin off their technologies into a startup. And that's my
Yeah.
current role.
Okay. And for the folks that don't know about the University of Michigan, I think Tom Brady went to the University of Michigan, if I'm not wrong. For the folks that are into the NFL.
So, the University of Michigan system is extremely big. I
Yeah.
am very new to the system, but as you know, it's also considered a public Ivy League school.
Yeah.
And currently, and it is a very strong school when it comes to football.
Yeah.
Currently, we beat Ohio State, and before that, Michigan State University.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
That's
the
a big
school
thing
spirit
down
is
there.
really high.
Yeah, it's a big thing down there. Probably people don't know a lot about it in India. But now I think even
Yeah.
people in India have started to follow the NFL. So yeah, that's a good thing. So before like jump starting into your like what you're doing right now and things like that, I wanted to talk about your life back in India, just like an initial stage as to like how, what sort of household did you grow up in, what kind of aspirations did you have, and yeah, just sort of going back to the initial beginnings for you.
Yeah, sure. I grew up in a, lower middle class household, and I was always, I always aspired to be a doctor, actually a physician. And I gave all of the entrance exams that was associated with the Karnataka medical board, which was KCET at the in back in
Yeah.
my years. Now it's the NEET exam, which is
Yeah.
consolidated. But I gave the CET, and I was always very driven. I wanted to do something that would help, human beings in general. My entire life goal and passion is been to that I want to make a difference in people's life in some way or the other. And for me, healthcare was like the best way to approach that. This is how my brain used to work. I also grew up in very difficult circumstances, and uh, I decided to channel all of that, into my studies and, try to do my best at getting into medicine. Unfortunately, I could not secure a medical seat in within Bangalore. I got a medical school outside of Bangalore, but my mom was sick at that time, and I was her caretaker, so I had to stay in Bangalore. So I decided to take up engineering instead. I got a really decent rank. I ended up going to Ramya. I lived right next to Ramya my whole life. And so, Ramya is also a good school. My final year project was with Indian Institute of Science. And yeah, my background and upbringing, mostly difficult, lower middle class. I went to a very good school. It's Baldwin Girls High School in Bangalore, but mostly, was on scholarships. Then when after that I went for my 11th and 12th to Mount Carmel College, which is also a very good college in Bangalore. Again, I was also on a government seat. Everything, the CET also, on a government seat, and I tried to help my family as much as I can. I came here on a for my masters also on a scholarship.
Okay.
So, mostly I haven't tried to get my education as free as I could, but I always knew that I wanted to do something with healthcare. So when I did not get the medical seat, I decided to do engineering instead in biotechnology.
Okay. So you mentioned you did your engineering in biotech. So what exactly is biotech? Because like it's a lot of people have heard about biotech and things like that, but they aren't really sure about as to exactly what biotech is. So like, would you want to talk a bit about that?
Yeah, biotechnology, I would say, generally encompasses the study of different aspects of uh, in different aspects of bio related engineering. So you study a lot of about the human body. You study the genetic engineering, immunology. You're studying a lot of fundamental basics about the human body, from human anatomy, physiology, how genes are encoded, to how immune cells react to different things. Back in my days, because I got my undergrad like at least like 9 years ago, there was engineering in biotechnology and engineering in biomedical. Uh, and the key difference between the two is biotechnology. If you are trained in or get your engineering degree in that, then you end up studying a lot of like biological processes that are associated with the body, and might end up working in like fields like vaccines, gene therapy, immunology based medications, immunotherapy, drug development, etc. If you go into biomedical or medical technologies, sometimes it's known as, then you end up studying a lot about the human anatomy and physiology and biomedical devices.
Okay.
That's the key difference. So that's what you end up doing. Your training in biotechnology is mostly, I can say, very similar to biological training, except
Okay.
for the first 2 years, you also end up taking a lot of engineering courses, which is like mathematics
Yeah.
and chemical engineering courses like unit operations, thermodynamics, etc., which is core principles of engineering also.
Okay. So you mentioned that you got a like a scholarship even in the US when you went for your masters. So like, how exactly did you get that? Because in India there are a lot of people that don't come from like a really good background, and plus, if you have an income in India, it's really hard to educate someone in the US, even if you have a good income, like even if you have a good sort of lifestyle, because Like things work out in dollars over there, it's in rupees over here, and I think we probably know about that. So how did you exactly get a scholarship, and what sort of guidance would you want to give to someone who wants to do their masters abroad and doesn't really have a lot of a really great economical background where they can really afford maybe the top school down there in the US?
Yeah, definitely. I did not go to a top school for my master's. I went to a really mid-tier school for my master's. That was a compromise I had to take no matter what, because I knew I could not afford
Yeah.
the entire, the fees of my master's.
Yeah.
So that was a big compromise that I had to take at that particular point of time. I got into the master's. This was when I was in my engineering. In The professor from my master's university, he's a research professor. He
Okay.
was visiting Ramya,
Okay.
and I stopped him after his lecture was over. He was in nanomedicine, and my final year engineering project was had to do with silver nanoparticles. So
Yeah.
I asked him like a lot of deep seated questions about why our system was not working. I was extremely curious about his background, and I wanted to know why my our engineer, our final year project there was showing some results that we were not expecting.
Yeah.
And he then told me that I should definitely apply to University of Bridgeport. And at least starting from like the second semester up to the fourth semester, that I will be supported using a GRA, a graduate research assistantship, because he had a fully funded project for which he
Okay.
was looking for a master student. So that is one avenue that students can take if they have a really strong background in research. I did have a strong background in research and in product development, in biotech product development, because ra- right before I left for my master's in August, I won an international level medical hackathon with my team. And that was hosted by Harvard Medical School and MIT at General Electric in India. So that also boosted my profile quite a lot. And based on these factors, when the professor had approached me, I sent over all of my prior achievement. And at that time there was no uh, he did not need a research publication, but I had one along the way. But my win at that medical
Yeah.
hackathon, along with my final year project, winning the best project from Indian Institute of Science (IISc), showed my like strong research background. So that is why the school got convinced that I'll make a great GRA for the funded project that he had. So usually, if you want to get into like masters, I would say that your best bet would be to find professors that have fully funded projects and that are looking out for master students in that particular area.
Yeah.
That yeah, that's the most ideal. You can also get admission into the university really easily because the professor would want you at the end of the day. To scar these opportunities, I would personally suggest that add people on LinkedIn, add professors on LinkedIn, see the kind of research that you want to do, and start following them on LinkedIn. Start following their mutual connections on LinkedIn, and see if they're hiring for any project that they currently have. And that would be a good way to approach them. Write very meaningful emails to them. Yeah, This is also similar to when you go for PhD,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So I would say, if your goal is eventually to do research, then you should skip the master's line and go for a master's in integrated PhD,
Yeah.
the PhD integrated. If you're still unsure that you want to, continue in the research pathway, there are lots of funded projects that do look for master students, though their frequency is lower than the ones for PhD.
Yeah. And you can also folks can also do MTech, BTech integrated. Now in India, they even have that option where you do your masters and BTech at once in like a 5-year course. So that's
Yeah, and that wouldn't, qualify you for a PhD. If you want to go the research route, the PhD would be the best. For you to get admission into a good PhD school, you will be able to, pursue your studies over here at like no financial cost
yeah.
because
And
most PhDs are fully funded.
it was really awesome to hear about the IC thing that you won, and even the medical hackathon, because like there's a lot of people that just rant about the fact that they didn't get into IIT or they didn't get into possibly the best college, and then they just end up like ranting through their 4 years in college and they don't end up doing anything. So that was probably inspirational because you also didn't end up getting the best college they out there, but you won an hackathon on a worldwide level. That too done by Harvard and MIT, which are like the best universities in the entire world. So that was something that was nice to hear about and probably gave some motivation for people that didn't end up where they exactly wanted to end up.
I personally believe if you're good anywhere, labels, I would say I'm not going to be delusional and say that labels don't matter at all because in this day and age, it's just not possible. Labels and ranks do matter at the end of the day, but they shouldn't stop you from trying to like dream big, and trying to work hard towards achieving your dreams, whatever that is. um yes, it's it's unfortunate that you don't get into the best universities because people have millions of issues. Mine was I had to be in Bangalore no matter what. I was restrained by a lot of uh, different factors. All of these things aside, but that shouldn't stop you from trying to achieve, dream bigger. It's fine. And let me honestly tell you, this is you know currently my office is 70 people.
Yeah.
I am in a very unconventional route that most PhDs don't take. My future goal right now is actually to be in venture capital, which is to be a venture VC. My entire office, okay, all seven, like 65 of my, all of them are from Ivy Leagues. The PhDs is from Ivy League. I'm the only one who's non-Ivy,
Yeah.
but I got in, right? Because I bring to the table experiences and that are uniquely mine, that define me, and I never, when I was applying for this job, if I was scared that, oh, I don't have the label, because Michigan is public Ivy and I'm not from Ivy, then I would never be here.
Yeah. And that is really inspiring. Like, and I remember Tom Brady again for the books. He was the 199th draft pick, and he apparently
Oh,
became.
you seem to be a really big fan of Tom Brady.
No, I am because I was from down from Boston, so like he's the main guy over there. So I've been
Yeah, he is.
he is the
He
main guy, and it's like a great example to see because like he was drafted way down, but he did well later on. So like the label didn't matter.
yeah, he did lead the Patriots to a lot of wins,
Us
I think.
Super Bowls, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's really good. So like people can learn from that because I think the destination would matter. And for the folks that even get to a good college, at the end of the day, they're struggling over there again. It's not just like you enter a good college and then like life's over.
Yeah,
But
everything is dandy wandy. It's
yeah,
not.
yeah, it depends
Nothing
on
should
like
be.
what you do. Like
Yeah,
even not
yeah.
depending on like where you. It's like if you go from a bullet, like even like someone I think in my coaching or someone had mentioned this that like IIT is basically like or the top tier university are basically like a bullet train. So you can get faster to the destination, but then there's also other vehicles from which you can eventually get to the destination. So like it depends
Definitely.
like what you do basically. So it won't
Yeah,
really.
it depends upon the way that you approach it. You can get into a top tier school, but if you don't know where you're going, what you're doing, if you have no goals, then it will seem sort of meaningless at that particular front also. So
Yeah.
it's truly on what you do with it.
Yeah.
That's
So I wanted to talk about your PhD a bit because in the last video we sort of got it. I think folks got an idea as to like how it is and like how you apply and things like that. And I wanted to like really talk about the cancer detection like project thing where you use. I think you use dyes basically, right, to like make that cancer tissue more visible. As,
right compared to background tissue. Yeah, yeah.
so you don't have to
Very
like do surgeries and things like that just to detect
Yeah,
cancer.
exactly. Yeah. So my technology would get rid of biopsies in which for deep tissues. So when you usually when currently if you have a really deep and dense tissue, for instance, breast is like the classic example of it. Breasts come tissues are of different types, and because of that, if you have a tumor that's deep within the breast, the mammogram is just not good enough to show you all of the features of those tumors, and for biopsy, and the biopsy needle is also not deep enough. So for that, clinicians currently have to open up the breast and collect biopsy tissues. Our goal with my technology was it's just a dye arrangement, dye molecules that can target breasts, that can target any type of tumor cells. But we started off with breast first, breast tumor cells. And by targeting, I mean they can specifically attach themselves to the breast tumors, and by using a new form of imaging, it's known as photoacoustic imaging. It's much more sensitive than ultrasound,
Yeah.
because in that, what happens is laser light irradiates those dye molecules,
Yeah.
and um, those dye molecules release sound signals that's picked up by the ultrasound transducer. So you
Yeah.
get a very, very sharp image of the tumor, no matter how deep it is. The depth, is just physics, because you have so much energy being collected, and the laser light is infrared, it can go deeper. So you can see very deep tissue, deep tumors, and without the clinician having the need to open up the patient. So
Okay.
this can be a new standard of biopsy,
Okay.
basically.
And it would
Yeah.
in early on detection as well, right? Just by using the tech that you have
Yes,
developed.
exactly. I mean, if this is applied, like eventually, hopefully, this is the future goal that as it's
Yeah.
applied in like different in clinics, after clinical trials, as it is applied, it can be part of a screening process. You go in for like a physical,
Yeah.
and this can be just injected into your bloodstream or at a specific site, and because of that it can help in early diagnosis of tumors also.
Yeah, because cancer is really something that has been growing, and even if people know about Yuvraj Singh, the thing with him was his cancer was detected pretty late. Like he basically did this cricket camp somewhere down in South Africa, and then he had some like coughing issues and things like that, but he just ignored it, and then he moved towards the World Cup, and then he sort of really realized way later after everything was over that like the doctor literally had to tell him that like you'll die in 2 months if you don't actually go to the hospital, because he wasn't accepting the fact that as a sports person I have a proper diet and things like that, and I still like how can I get cancer. So I think that would have also helped him, because he would have probably gotten to know that he had cancer earlier on if the physicians actually like had some sort of tech where they didn't have to actually do a surgery or use a technology that couldn't detect cancer.
Yeah, I mean, this is inspired by a true event. I mean, I've lived this event sort of with my mother. She has very dense breasts, and so do I. And my mom, when I was in my 11th grade, she came up to me and she's like, I can feel something in my breast. We need to go to the doctor. And we went to the doctor, and breast is so dense that they couldn't see the tumor properly in a mammogram. And mammogram hurts a lot, because you basically pinch your breast between two plates, and my mom would cry all the time after mammogram. And they would order like several of these because they just couldn't see the tumor properly. They had no idea like about its future features, so they ordered us like they kept ordering us mammogram. And these are expensive at the end of the day, it's not that cheap also. And then finally they decided, like 4 months later, after all mammograms failed, they said that we need a biopsy. They inserted a needle, could not get enough tissue. The biopsy was inconclusive. We are wasting money, we're wasting time. In that time, my mom's, tumor is growing, it's becoming cancerous. Like, this is something I have personally experienced. It felt like a living nightmare. And eventually, the only way to get this done was, they had to open her up and take some samples for biopsy. So this eliminates all of that time, and all of the effort that's required behind all of these things. It also makes, delay, because the dye can, delineate the, or visualize, help
Yeah.
us visualize the margins. Also, this can also help maybe surgeons along the way to take out tumors in a better way, because they can see the margin of the tumors and not leave behind any tumor tissue when they do tumor resection surgeries, they're known as. So yeah, it's a very multi-diverse platform technology that we created. Yeah, that will eventually, hopefully one day, be in the
Yeah.
clinics.
Yeah, hopefully it would be, and it was really nice to hear that you actually took a personal problem and got a solution. And I think that's the end goal of an engineer, regardless of the fact of what kind of engineer you are. So, like as we're moving towards the end of the podcast, I wanted to talk a bit about like options for people after a PhD, because we have talked about your career, and I think people have probably understood like good understanding of like what a PhD and like things that they can do as someone who's done a PhD. But what is the aftermath of the PhD? Like, what are the things that you can sort of move into? Like, what are your options out there?
Yeah, so in the States, everything is restricted by your visa. You are an
Yeah.
international student at the end of the day. If you want to go ahead and do an industry, I mean, you have the conventional academia and industry. You still have a postdoc, and then you can try to be an assistant professor on tenure track. Lots of students do start out that way. You also have, classic industry job as a scientist, one or two starting out over here in like biopharmaceutical firms. There's something I wanted to highlight. Like, this is a personal, agenda of mine, and I want people out there, especially PhD students, to know that your life doesn't end with only a classical scientist job or just an academic job. Especially, sometimes your professors drive you to think only about academia. It does not. You need to branch out. For instance, now I get the current job I'm at, wherein I'm being trained as a fellow. I have so many career paths in front of me. I can actually give the patent bar over here and become a patent agent. So I'll be licensed by the US Patent Office to be able to look at patents and to draft patents. So that's a very well paid job in the United States. The salary goes upwards of to 50K in most law firms. I'm in a university technology transfer office. I can help faculty license the technologies and their IPs. There's also, scientific writers, clinical research coordinators, medical science liaisons. There's so many jobs out there and so many career paths that you can take. These are just to name a few. In my field, the what I'm trying to do right now is to be a venture capitalist, and which you totally can. You can become a investment analyst, and that's part of my job. I actually look at companies and see which one is a good startup to invest in. So that is something that will eventually help me to land a venture capital job, a VC job. If so Just in this training program that I'm in, I can have like four different career paths right over here, depending upon what I choose. And I've decided to go into the VC route. But there's that, and then some other things I can think of the top of my head are, you can also be part of, other than university tech transfer office, you can be part of their research offices. Universities, it's easier to get your continuation visa, which is your H1B, much more easier than industry. Sure, they pay a little bit lesser, but it's okay. Like, your visa is secured in that way. And in industry also, you have so many different types of scientist positions that's available after your PhD is done. It's just that you have to be like really tailor your resume, and that's a whole other section when it comes to finding a job in the United States. But yeah, there's multitude of options.
Okay. So, Shrishti, it's really nice having you, and it was a really good learning experience for me, and probably for the folks that have watched this episode, because it was something that was really heart touching to a lot of people out there around the world, and a lot of people probably learned a lot of great insights as to how you can go abroad, and like how the world is yours if you actually try to put in your 100% and just like work for a cause rather than like just running behind the conventional sort of job sort of thing. I wouldn't say that's bad, but like you should have some sort of end goal with you, like why you're doing what you are doing, or else you'll just be like stuck in that rat race sort of mindset, which probably
Yeah,
is.
that's true. I entered this job because I really want to help biotech startups, being take technologies from universities and create them into startups. And I feel that's my contribution, the biggest contribution I can give, especially given my entrepreneurship background. That's again another career that you can take. You can start a startup. So, yeah, there's a lot. Thank you. But, anyways, thank you so much for having me on here. It was great talking to you. And yeah, I mean, I'm ready to answer all questions. I have like a very vested interest in career development because I feel like when I was looking at all of these careers, I felt lost. So now I would really want to help people if they ever have any questions.
Yeah. So for the questions thing, what I've thought about is I can share your LinkedIn profile down in the description so people can directly DM you, because it would be really hard to like answer like really specific questions in the given time frame that we have right now. So that is
Yeah, sure.
what I'm planning to do. And if there's any question, guys, you can definitely drop a comment down in the comment section, or you can follow our page on LinkedIn, where you can just DM my page down on LinkedIn. I'll share the link for that, and you can directly also DM Shrishti if you have any such specific doubts. So yeah, that is the note on which I would want to end the podcast. So thank you again for sparing some time and yeah, just
Yeah,
coming.
thank you, Pamia, for having me. Thank you so much.